telling stories is what helped us make sense of a confusing world. And so we bring that forward. It takes the pressure off of us to have these deep insights and connect these reflective philosophical dots and just think deeply. I'm not that smart. I'll just run out of ideas if that was what I had to do, but I can definitely tell a story of my life and of my experience to help people make sense of a confusing world and help them move forward.
So let me go back to what makes a great funnel around storytelling. Storytelling is just kind of the way you're walking through. What else needs to be on a funnel to be a successful funnel?
Yeah, I put stories everywhere. So let's say I'll stick with my example of my 202 story ideas as a lead magnet, as a free resource. People exchange their email address in exchange for that PDF or that download. Inside of that, there's a story in the beginning. So some people would say the tactic of, hey, my name's Cody, here's a bunch of story ideas, good luck. And I tell people how I came up with the story ideas. And the story behind that is it was Christmas Day recently, 6 months ago. Kids were watching a movie that I wasn't following, some wizards and dragons, and I didn't know what was going on. So I got kind of bored and thought, man, people sure struggle to come up with ideas for their storytelling. I'm just going to look through all my emails I've written in the last couple of years and get my best hooks and best story ideas and put it in a Google Doc. So that's a story about a resource I made that it cost me something. Like I didn't just make that up. I didn't run it through ChatGPT and think of story ideas. I wrote emails for years. I took the best story ideas and put them into a resource that you can use. So there's that implication that it's valuable, even though it's free, that it's valuable because it took me years to accumulate that amount of skill and that amount of hooks and ideas. So what I just did, Daniel, is I answered your question with a story of how I made the lead magnet. So I have a story inside the lead magnet. I have a story about storytelling. I have a story in the Facebook ad that promotes the lead magnet. I use stories everywhere. It takes us out of this rigid marketing lingo. And I'll tell you a story. My wife and I last summer, we did salsa dancing lessons. And I'm not much of a dancer. I can clap to the rhythm of the songs at church or whatever at a concert, but I'm not a dancer. Neither is my wife. She has good rhythm too, but we're not dancers. So we signed up for salsa lessons and the first lesson went as bad as you could think. Everybody stepping on people's toes and I'm going left while she goes right. It was a whole nightmare. But over time, we got a little bit better. We did a 10 lesson block. By the time we were done, we were still pretty bad, honestly, but we knew some of the steps, like left, rock forward left, pause, rock back right, pause. But it was still really rigid. And that's how I don't want people to do their marketing. So if you try to always look for the latest tactics or the latest script or the latest template to sound smart, to grow your business or to write a Facebook ad, it makes it lifeless, kind of like me trying to learn how to do salsa dancing. There's no style. There's no panache. It just is this blocky thing. It's way better when you tell stories. Your ads are better when you tell stories. People relate to stories. When your kids were little, when you were a little kid, you ask mommy or daddy, tell me a story before I go to bed. And when they're done telling a story, what do you say immediately after that? Tell it to me again. We're just wired for as long as humans have been around, telling stories of which cave to avoid and which saber-toothed tiger was hiding behind which bush and which berries are poisonous to eat. Telling stories is what helped us make sense of a confusing world. And so we bring that forward. It takes the pressure off of us to have these deep insights and connect these reflective philosophical dots and just think deeply. I'm not that smart. I'll just run out of ideas if that was what I had to do, but I can definitely tell a story of my life and of my experience to help people make sense of a confusing world and help them move forward. So I use stories in the ad. I use stories in the lead magnet. I use stories in the email. I teach by story. I answer questions in stories. And inside the resource itself, at an event or a workshop or a product or a coaching program, it's mainly story-based. I do it all the time. In fact, last night, somebody messaged me. I don't know this person. We have a mutual connection. And she said she had a problem. And we were talking back and forth, just typing. And I texted her something last night. She was having a bad experience with a vendor that I don't know, but we were just talking back and forth. And so I typed her really powerful words. I said, can I tell you a story? And I hit send. And she leaned in and immediately texted back, yes, I love stories. I know you love stories because you're a human being. We all love stories. Yeah. So then I flipped on the voice recorder and told her a story. And then she replied back something that was really moving. This is just last night. It was really moving. She said, Cody, as I heard your story, a wave of calm washed over me. And I thought, wow, that was really powerful. I was just telling her a story of an experience I had 2 months ago, but something about that helped her make sense of her situation. So you're never going to convince me that stories don't matter in our marketing, in our business, as we're creating influence and impact with our expertise. I don't care what industry you're in. Tell me a story. I want to hear it. You're going to go mow my lawn? Tell me a story. You want to sell me a supplement? Tell me a story. How'd you create it? Why does it matter? Tell me stories of people who've used it to have a better life. You want to sell me marketing coaching? Tell me a story. You want to host a live event? Tell me a story.